Hello everyone, welcome to the Slayer's Descent. Today's episode is a little different from my usual sort of format. Usually, I like to have my voiceover being a live commentary, not an actual voiceover like you're hearing now. The reason that we're going to have to do it a little differently for this episode and maybe the next few is because, at the time of recording, my sleep schedule was in shambles. I woke up in like the super early AMs. I believe this is the 15th that I was recording because it's the second day of playtest 5. And because of my living situation, I had to be quiet because there were people around me that needed their sleep. So for now, this is what we're working with. This will not be the standard. My usual format is definitely live commentary. Usually, one full game and some bonus clips. That's what I'm trying to set as the standard here. But since we have to do it, we're gonna. I don't want to also infringe upon the sort of, creative space of other creators here. I know I watch Repose and Wilson's Game. Those are the first two that come to mind. Those are the two that I've watched primarily that do voiceovers like this over their gameplay. Of course, they're usually talking about the gameplay. Here, we're going to talk about the series and just some plans and, what's going on here. So, if you're interested, stick around. If not, that's cool too. Most likely the next coming episodes are going to be the more regular content that you're going to expect here. So, that all being said, let's talk about the series a little bit. Originally, I didn't have any intentions of being a Slayer, obviously. Slayer came around in playtest 5, so that was a bit of a surprise for me, and I had to do a big old pivot. Adding to that, the fact that Slayer was, at least, at first glance, iffy. It was really iffy. Of course, you have the fact that you're sacrificing plate, which, is something that fighters very greatly enjoy, usually. And sacrificing that for move speed and a damage buff, I didn't know. I wasn't sure. I tried it. I actually kind of bashed it at first, because, I don't know, it just, early on, anyways, my first impressions were, why am I doing this? I can't find a headpiece, because the only thing I can wear on my head is a leather cap. So I'm taking a ton of headshot damage. I'm not getting that much out of this. Now, since then, I have come to the conclusion that Slayer is good. Slayer is definitely worth, especially early game. That weapon damage is insane. And although it's by limiting yourself, the movement speed that you get from having to wear those armors is pretty dang good. There was also the issue that Hotfix 1 didn't come around. I don't remember when exactly it dropped, but I had to take Slayer off for a little bit because I was playing with my buddy Jason. He plays Rogue a lot, and Jokester is stupid good. And we decided, okay, if Jokester and Slayer supposedly have a bugged interaction, then although we like those perks, we're not going to run them until they fix it. It didn't last long. They fixed it first hotfix, so that ended up being fine, but as a result of those things, I ended up not running Slayer the whole time. A vast majority of the series has Slayer on, however. There's going to be 2 more games of Goblin Caves where I don't run it, and then I run it for a little bit until I find out about the Jokester bug, then I take it off, then hotfix drops, then Slayer the rest of the series. So don't worry too much about that. Sorry that I forgot. I was like, oh man, we're gonna make Slayer's Descent. It's gonna be all about being a Slayer. And then I started editing and I was like, oh wait, I'm not a Slayer for all of these episodes at the beginning. This is gonna look kind of weird, but it's okay. We figured it out. Now, also, I intended to play a lot more High Roller than I ended up playing here. So, Season 1 was supposed to be semi-competitive, I was just trying, my goal was to get into High Roller as quickly as possible, and play it as much as possible, and improve my gameplay as much as possible, and in doing all of those things, climb the leaderboard as much as possible. Of course, you have to play High Roller to be on the High Roller leaderboard. Big shocker, I know. So, had to kind of come up with something new because my plans didn't come to fruition. Now, what I also found out after recording some of this footage is that I wasn't quite ready to be pushing leaderboards. Like I said, we were trying to learn, but we had some fundamentals to iron out. So, this season, Season 1, and maybe future seasons if I really suck, are going to be learning-centric. And so that's why we have the learning opportunities at the end of these videos, so I can analyze my gameplay, and hopefully you guys can learn from my mistakes too. Now, that being said, this series came a little late. I had to finish up my semester of college, and also I had to learn how to edit on the fly. And that took a little bit of time. It was super fun. I really enjoy popping open Adobe Premiere and editing these things out. But it was a process, and it's getting better, and it sucked at first, and I only realized that after I improved it after the first couple of episodes. That first episode, man, that's rough. That audio was not the standard as of today, and hell, this episode probably won't be the standard, I don't know, 5-10 episodes down the line. We're figuring it all out, we're experimenting, we're learning, we're having fun. Now, Season 2, the future plans here, are going to have more High Roller, of course. Season 2 is going to be, hopefully, what Season 1 was supposed to be. So, we're going to get into High Roller more. We're going to focus less on learning. Of course, we're always going to try and learn and improve. But we're going to try and get into High Roller. We're going to get into boss fights. And we're going to try and get that leaderboard or ladder push. They, of course, have plans to implement a ladder instead of a High Roller leaderboard, which would be a huge... I want to say improvement, but that's my opinion. The other plan I have, it's kind of a side quest, if you will. I don't know if I mention it, but I really, really want to find Kuma weapons, either Kuma's Claw or Kuma's Fang. I don't know what they do. They're the only unique weapons, I call them artifact weapons, that I don't know their special effects. And I would like to find out by picking them up off of a boss. I think that would be super cool. And so that's kind of like, I don't know, a secondary objective of Season 2, hopefully. Spoiler alert, doesn't happen in this one. I don't fight any bosses in High Roller. You might have noticed that I said in High Roller. Well, I don't want to spoil too much for Season 1, but let me tell you, the first couple episodes, they're kind of boring in comparison to the shenanigans I get up to later. Like I said, I don't get into High Roller a lot, but I do get into High Roller a little bit. They're interesting. I can't remember how well I did exactly in High Roller specifically, but we definitely get up to a lot in normal lobbies. We pull off some feats, honestly. I was pretty proud of some of the things I did this playtest. Some big firsts, you know. We were definitely working our way up to High Roller, we just ran out of time. That's the big tragedy there. So, there is, of course, the possibility that, I hope it doesn't happen, but Dark and Darker may not be coming back for a while. You never know. There's definitely some big legal issues that I don't have anything to say about because I know nothing about these things. I'm trying to keep up the best I can. But as it seems right now, it looks like if they don't push out a early access release soon, it's not going to happen for a while because they're going to get tied up in court. At least that's how I understand it. So, if there isn't Dark and Darker for a while, or if I somehow run through all of my content that I have recorded and I have to wait, regardless of how long it takes, then I have some plans to release some footage for some other games. Here in a little bit, I'm about to start playing a game called Return of the Obra Dinn. I learned about that game because I was watching other people play my favorite game, Outer Wilds. So I know nothing about the game other than that it's like Outer Wilds adjacent in that regard, and that's enough for me. So I don't want any spoilers. I'm gonna download the game in the near future, record it, hopefully push out some episodes if Dark and Darker has a lull to it. I also have some plans to record some other games that are on my radar. So when Baldur's Gate 3 gets its full release, I want to record some of that. I have, if you guys have heard of a game called Nightingale, looks super duper interesting. That's supposed to be coming in, I think it's an early access release in like fall or something like that. And then I'm not sure if I'm going to record it because I don't know how good it's going to be. I'm always skeptical of AAA titles, but Starfield, I want to record some of that if it's promising. I love space games, and especially exploration-focused space games and not like super technical, you know, build up your ship modularly and all that stuff. I'm not a huge technical person, so If Starfield has more of a space-themed exploration vibe to it, and it's a good game in the first place, we'll record a little bit of that, see how it goes. So, as we wrap up here, first of all, let's do the learning opportunity. It's probably got to be looting speed. You may have noticed, if you were paying attention to the gameplay, that there were some bodies after I killed that barbarian, and oh boy, that looting speed was not good. And, even worse, I made some poor decisions despite how much time I took. I think the better way to do it, you want to be quick over correct in your looting choices. You want to grab as much as possible. You don't want to look too hard at it. You know, grab the obvious upgrades. If you're not sure, just throw it in your inventory and figure it out as you move. Don't just sit there. And I think that's about it. Thank you all for watching. I don't ask people to like and subscribe. That's, do it if you want. I don't care. I'm doing this because it's fun. But I would appreciate if you left any comments with ideas on how to improve the series, and I try not to touch my own videos to not mess with the YouTube stats. So if there are any issues with the quality that I'm not aware of and that, you know, aren't being ironed out already, let me know.